this leads to something which is a very alive question for me, related to the relationship with people who I feel have gone further than I have on the spiritual paths and are more evolved or developed or mature in certain areas. So, for example, over the last few years, I learned to appreciate much more a certain ability that I find that female exemplars, spiritual exemplars, generally speaking, with a lot of exceptions, have more than male exemplars, this has to do with a more embodied emotional, relational, that some exemplars, let's leave the male-female question aside. That's not the most important aspect of it. But so let's say I met some exemplars that I feel are much more connected and to the emotional intelligence and embodied intelligence and relational intelligence than I am. And so by being in a relationship with them and making myself open and permeable to the relationship with them and to their worldview and their type of knowing, I feel I'm learning and changing as a result of that. And I find it's a very delicate dance of opening up to another person, either knowing or sensing or assuming that he or she has access to certain way of knowing, mode of knowing that I don't, or that I'm not as developed as they are. Feeling attracted to learn through the interaction with them, to expand, to enrich, to grow my own abilities, myself. So there is a teacher-student relationship in such an interaction. I feel that by connecting to their perspective, to their eyes and heart and senses, I can expand myself and I can get access to a certain way of knowing that is not available to me at all or as much. At the same time, I may have other capabilities where I am more evolved or more mature or have developed those tools more than they have. So let's take, for example, let's say that I'm meeting somebody who tells me that they are very much in connection with non-human entities and information that comes from nature spirits, all kinds of entities not from the human world.
Yeah.
I have no idea about this. It's completely not part of my experience.
Mm-hmm.
My critical, analytical, skeptical mind says, what are they talking about?
Yes.
But I met some people who said that that they have access to non-human entities and the information they bring. And they impressed me as being very authentic, and there is a certain depth and openness and lightness of being and humor and love that I felt from them, which made me very attracted to connect with them, to accept their how they see things and what they talk about, even if it's not part of my experience. So I would say, maybe in contradiction to what I said earlier about the need for critical thinking, I'm putting aside my reservations and my hesitations and suspicions in order to be able to deeply connect with those people and learn from them and expand and open to, maybe they know something, maybe they know a lot that I'm not there yet, but maybe I will be there if I kind of join them in what they're experiencing and describing to me.
Yes. No, very beautiful, actually. And again, a colossal topic. You know, we could take it in many directions, but something that came to me as you were sharing in this particular example of non-human entities or realms. And I also come from a very academic background, and you were listing some qualities that you would see in an exemplar. And for the audience, by spiritual exemplar, you mean like a spiritual teacher or spiritual authority, that you would relate to those qualities where they're seeming authentic, or have, through your critical mindset, they have certain abilities that are very developed. So you kind of give them a chance to go into them. But another thing that came to me is that I'm finding in my experience is that at some point of our journey, and this is the case with this whole conversation that we're having, is that it seems that at different points we have a different level of maturity. And that allows us to engage deeply with these questions. And at other times, it might be premature to get into the paradox when it's too early. And maybe we'll return to that, but I just wanted to say that for me, I'm noticing sometimes that even if a certain dimension, entity, or realm is not accessible to me, I know that there is a hidden world, a hidden reality. And that by itself becomes another factor for me to suspend my critical mind, at least for the time being, and kind of push myself to open myself to that reality and saying, okay, it's my perception that needs to be opened up. I'm not seeing it, but I know that there is something there.